Bit to do, but this is promising. Now the shot! On the defenders. Break still on. He's had a go here.
Hello everyone, Moz of Oz here. Thought I'd just fill you in on what's been happening between Season 1 and Season 2. We're about to start the Premier League and I've used this transfer budget tweak. So I thought I'd fill you in on how I did that for those who want to do the same. Firstly, remember we had a 15 million budget. Well, I'd used a thing from the catalogue, the financial takeover. That gave me a 45 million budget, which in the Premier League is not going to go very far. So this is where the tweak comes in. First thing we do is put that 45 million transfer budget, move however much you want, not all of it, because you have to leave some in the transfer budget or you'll end up with bankrupt in the next season. In my case, I'm using about 40, I think I ended up using about 41 million of it across to the wages budget. Remember to save your game before you start doing any of this, so that if A, you stuff it up, you can always go back to the start, and B, if you change your mind at any time and don't want to do any of this, you can go back and do it the conventional way. Right, once you've put everything in the all your money or most of your money back into the wages budget, you have to go back to your team list and look at the players you're prepared to player swap. Basically, these players are going to leave your club, so look for the ones who you don't feel you're going to use anymore. You don't feel you're going to have a fit into the way you're going to play or the structure you're going to play, or you feel you need better players in their place, and so you're quite happy to replace them. Try not to only pick one or two, because then you put a lot of wages on one or two players, and if you struggle to get rid of them, you'll be stuck with it in your budget. So I try to keep them under 10 million. In this case, I think I picked 6 players out that I'm going to renegotiate their contracts and give them 6.5 million wages per week each. As you expect, they probably won't mind getting such a major pay rise. Little do they know they're not going to get much of a chance to get that, because their futures are hopefully going to be very short at this club, and they'll lose that 6.5 million. But they don't know that. They think they're getting a humongous wage rise, and they'll go with it. So you've picked out your players. I've picked out about 6. You've got to do this just before the end of season, of course. So let's go in and see what that leaves me with. End up, after giving them all those 6 players 6.5 million wages, I'm left with 1.5 million in the transfer budget, 700,000 in wages budget, and a current weekly wages bill of 39.5 million. Who can afford that? But that's the situation you'll be in. Let's go back and have a look what players we did. I've given Coyle 6.5 million wages, so he's on chopping block. I stress here that when you get rid of these players in the next season, you've got to player swap them. You can't sell them. If you sell the player, that 6.5 million doesn't go back onto your wages bill, which is the way this trick works, is to player swap them. The 6.5 goes back on your wages bill. Liam Cooper, we got Berardi in there as well. In the spot, they all have a bit of a pay rise. I don't know what they were earning before, but now they've negotiated their contracts, and they've now got 6.5 million a week. So there's 2 more. I think I have one more. I think one of my strikers also got put on chop. Yeah, he was on loan anyway. I haven't used him. So Anderson's gone as well. 6.5 million wages per week. He said thank you very much. So we picked our 6 players out. We've pretty much spent all our wages budget, given them all 6.5 million each. And this is the situation in the next season after I've got rid of 5 of the 6 players. And this is still the situation before we go into the season. Don't get carried away there. Haven't done it yet. I've got rid of 5 of the 6 players. Still 1 to go. I've brought in several new names. And the wages budget and the transfer budget looks slightly different. So let's zap forward to that and have a look at what my wages and transfer budget is after picking up all those new players and offloading only 5 of the 6. I've still got 1 to get rid of. Here is my new budget. Yes, you're reading that right. The new budget, $1.5 billion, and I've still got 3.2 million on my wages budget. But if you note, the current weekly wages is still 7.6 million. So once I get rid of Liam Cooper, who's the only one I haven't got rid of yet, I'll go back to 1.1, and that will mean another 6.5 million onto the wages budget, and that will then be transferred across to the transfer budget, and that's where the trick is. Because for some reason it doesn't transfer $1 for $1. So while I'm only kicking 6.5 million off the wages budget, it transfers across to the transfer budget a lot bigger. I've got rid of 5 of these players already, and my 1.5 million transfer budget is now 1.5 billion. It was actually higher than that because I've bought several players. Let me show you an example here. What happens if I just take this 3 million down to 1 million on the wages budget? But we've got 526 million in the transfer. Take it back to 1, that's now 639 million. $113 million increase on the transfer budget by taking 2 million off the wage budget. So 2 million off the wage budget equals a change of 113 million on the transfer budget. That's just for a 2 million change. So triple that for the 6.5 million, and you look at over 300 million in transfer budget by transferring 6 million across from the wages budget. Let's show this 8.7, from 7.7 million on the wages budget. Now if I take 6.5 off that, or I'll take it, take the 6.7, I think we'll take off that. 301 on the transfer budget. Take it back to 1 million, and that 301 has gone up to 639. So that's 338 million increase in the transfer budget for a 6.5 million decrease in the wage budget. And I've already done that for 5 players, and I've still got 1 to go. So if I get rid of that last player, my current weekly wages will go from 7.6 million a week down to 1.1. My wages budget will go up by 6.5 million. I will take that 6.5 million back off the wages budget and move it across to the transfer budget, and that will give me another 330 odd million on the transfer budget. That's going to knock me pretty well back up to $2 billion, and I've already bought a good 6 or 7 players. And by the time I've got rid of Cooper, I've probably bought another 5 or 6 more, because it takes a lot of rejections to get these player swapped, because clubs want different positions, or clubs just aren't interested. So it takes a lot of attempts to get rid of some of them, and Liam Cooper's been rejected so many times, although I did get him accepted by one club and then stuffed up the negotiation with the players manager, so I had to go back to square one. I'll have to have another go with him. But that's the situation, that's where it gets you. You can either go the long road and do it the hard way, or you can go this way if you'd like to play with all your favourite players. Why not do this? Then you can make your team a team of your favourite players. The option's there if you want it, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, not so much favourite players, I'm going for all the young players, just to watch them grow, see how far their potentials go. So let's have a look at some of the new faces that I've brought in already. They're all young guys who apparently have high potentials according to YouTube, which is where I get all my information from, because people have already done all this research, so I don't have to. Lafont is my keeper. Apparently going to head up to the high 80s, maybe even 90 in potential. He's already 79, so he's already my best keeper. He can go up to that potential while he's being the keeper for my team. This way I'll see it firsthand. And that's the beauty of this. You can pick all these players out that have got high potential. Doesn't matter how expensive they are now. Money's no longer an object. Give the club what they want. Give the player, manager and player what they want. What do you care? And you get to play with the players, the team that you're happy to play with. I mean, this is a game after all. Why do you have to play with the players that are in there? You mightn't agree with the players that are in there. You're the manager. You can put the players you want in your team. Put your national stars in there. Put your national favourites in there. Put all your favourite players in there. Hell, if you want to be Paris or Barcelona or Manchester United, buy the best players. That's what they do. Have Neymar, have Ronaldo, have Messi. I've just gone for these guys because they're apparently going to be future stars. I mean, they're good players now, so most of them anyway, but they're all got potentials of high 80s, even 90. So I'm going to put them in my team and go for a dynasty, go for a legacy. My team can hang around for many seasons in the Premier League, something that Leeds United don't do very often. They usually only play fleeting glimpses, fleeting visits. But in this series, with these players, as they're supposed to get steadily better for many years, I could be in for a long stay in the Premier League. At least that's the plan. And I'll get to see these guys, see how far they do go, firsthand. And if I get bored with that, I can always go back, because I've saved the game, I can always go back and do it the long way and do it the hard way and try and survive in the Premier League on a transfer budget of 45 million. I'll probably get a couple of decent players. That'll be hard. This way, I've got all these young guys that stick around for a while and make life interesting. Make it very interesting for the opposition anyway. And look at this guy, only 67. Still a teenager. I don't think much of that. That makes him nice and cheap. But apparently he's got a potential high 80s, even 90. So there's a long career just waiting to be spent with someone. Why not spend it in my team? I get to see firsthand if he does reach that high. I hope he does, because he'll be dragging my team along with him. That'd be great. Some of these guys did want a release clause, which is a bit disappointing, but once again, if they do jump ship, you've got the money to buy them back again if you have to, if you want to, or you might say, sayonara, I didn't want you anyway. Your choice. But that's the situation. Here's the strangest one. According to YouTube, this is the highest potential forward under 20 from North Korea. He's already rated 71 as a teenager, but they reckon he's going to 91, maybe even 92. So I bought him, put him in my team. Let's see if he goes that far. I'll be interested to see a North Korean go that high. Bit of a surprise, but I'll get to see it firsthand. In the process, he'll hopefully drag Leeds United along to a championship, or at least some European competitions at least. And that's the situation. These are the new players I brought in so far, but like I said, Liam Cooper's still got to be removed to get rid of that $6.5 million off my weekly expenses and knock my transfer budget up by another 300 million, back up towards the 2 billion mark. But to do that, I'm going to have to trade for several more players. I might end up buying some of them, so I'll probably end up with another 6 new faces before the season starts. At this stage, by the time I've done this, I'm up the money in the pre-season competition. So none of these guys I don't think have even played yet. Most of them aren't available yet. They're playing elsewhere and haven't come across, or I haven't bought them yet. So They might make an appearance before the actual Premier League starts, but you'll see that on that next set of videos when we play our first season of Premier League. Most of these guys will be the stars. All our main players have pretty much been relegated to backup players now. This is the guy we're still going to get rid of, Liam Cooper. As you notice there, he's still on 6.5 million a week. That's really going to play havoc with my expenses the longer I can't get rid of him, so I'm going to be on the transfer market pretty regularly, finding all the players that I can try and trade for, and hopefully someone wants a centre back. This is the team and the guy that did agree to take him, Borussia Dortmund. They said they were happy to take him plus a financial exchange. I'm fine with that, money's no object. But then I mucked up the negotiation with this player. This is another high potential player apparently, and they didn't negotiate, they just pulled the plug, so I'll have to wait a week and have another go at it. But anyway, that's the situation at the moment for Leeds United coming into their first season in Premier League. This is the budget I have still before the season starts, 1.5 billion, 300 million the wages budget. That should equate back up to nearly 2 billion before the season starts, as I hopefully will have offloaded Cooper before the season starts. I can't carry him for too many weeks with that 6.5 million expenses in my account every week. I hope that's helped for those who'd like to build up a bit of a transfer budget that gives them the opportunity to buy players without any financial constraints. You can buy who you want. Just offer the club whatever they want, players whatever they want. Who cares? At least that way they'll be playing for you because you want them to. And you can not do that if you don't want to. All up to you. Anyway, I hope that helps out. Look forward to seeing you all in the next set of videos for Leeds United's first season in the Premier League. Cheers for now.